Oh, awesome, thank you. All right, good evening, welcome to the Town of Brookfield Select Board meeting for December 15th, 2022. Please rise to say the pledge. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so let's go through here. We've got a number of announcements. We've got firefighter safety equipment grant award of $7,697, which comes accompanied with a congratulatory letter to Chief Peter Martell from Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Karen E. Polito. And it makes note of that though great challenges in recent years, the fire service in Massachusetts has maintained a level of dependability and excellence that the citizens of the Commonwealth have come to expect. Please know how thankful I am for this and how grateful I am to provide your department with this important equipment. And so this is the firefighter safety equipment grant program.
Mm-hmm.
What do we typically fund with that? Do you happen to know, Kelly?
He provides, actually, he provided a spreadsheet that, of what he requested. They approved everything he requested. The grant is up to 12.5.
Okay.
But he only got this much, and then they prioritized what he could get, but I don't know what he applied for off the top of my head.
Okay, all right, so he puts a very structured
Yes.
request together,
Yes.
and they approved it
Excel
through a particular
spreadsheet.
water line of
Yes.
how much money they sent.
Mhm.
Great, it's good to know, okay. And well done, Chief, I know he's not here, but appreciate the fact that he stays on top of that sort of thing to lower the impact to the citizens directly, at least.
Yes.
The state money is still our money, but it's not your property.
It's our money coming back to us.
To us, yeah.
And that's what I like to see.
That's great work. So, we also have an announcement regarding the DEP recycling grant award. And I remember this is something George had brought to us that they were going to be applying for, correct? Or did this go
I
through?
believe this is something they get annually.
Okay.
Um,
So they were awarded a Sustainable Materials Recovery Program grant for $3,850. Also signed by the governor and lieutenant governor. And then I'm proud to announce, and I know that Karen plays a big role in this, in assembling it on an annual basis.
Karen is 100% of the reason this happened, just so
Okay,
you know.
just so we know.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is addressed to her. Congratulations, the town of Brookfield is being recognized with an award for second place in the category 3, population 5,000 and under, of the MMA's annual town report contest. These town reports serve to communicate important information to town residents, promote an understanding of and involvement in local government, and the MMA applauds your efforts in making this publication an effective tool for your community. So these awards will get handed out at the MMA's annual meeting and trades show starting from January 20th, and it goes through the weekend. I think it's through Saturday, right, the 21st.
Correct.
So you're going to be attending.
Mm-hmm.
I know Karen had requested to go.
Well, you had already said she could, so there was a
Right.
bit of a misunderstanding in what I had relayed to her. I said that she could go, she wanted to bring a guest, and if she wanted to bring a guest, that she had to check with the board.
Okay.
However, the cost for the guest is like $20, and they're gonna reimburse the town or something. No,
Okay.
it's $65, and they're
It's
gonna reimburse the
55
town.
yeah, they'll
She
be-
works for the town
Yeah,
anyway.
so that's fine.
Yeah. So it
Yeah,
won't
so it's
come up.
not a big fat hairy deal. Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
So yeah, so long as it's gonna be cost neutral for the town, then that's
Mhm.
fine. Let's see here. But no, congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Is that the best we've done, or did we get first one year?
2012, you got first.
Yeah, I think they just wouldn't let us, win 2 times in a decade.
Nope, that's not right, because Nantucket, Oaks Bluff, and Tisbury win this award for this division
Every
every
year.
single year, first, second, third, first, second, third. They switch it up a little every now and then. One other town is
Gets
in
to
there,
float
but
in
it's
there.
an island town, it's Martha's Vineyard.
So this is really
So
pretty.
this is a big deal,
This is a
that,
big deal.
that Brookfield won this. This
That's
is a
awesome.
big deal.
We're cracking their hold on the top of
We
the
are.
leaderboard.
Telling you. There
Keep it
you
up.
And
go.
you've got to remember too, that the towns that are winning this have multi-million-dollar budgets, like tens of millions of dollars. We're not talking about little tiny budgets like we have.
Yeah. So, Board of Health, Chairman George Hurdle will resign from the Board of Health effective December 31st of 2022, though I think they reorg it, because I think Maureen Lepak's the chair.
Maureen Lepak, she's, yeah.
Okay.
He says it, something.
Yeah, because I know that in his letter, he indicated that she was the chair, so, and I guess what, typically the approach would be, we would appoint somebody until the
Yes,
term?
for the Board of Health, you can appoint someone until the election, and then if they choose to run, then they would ask to be on the ballot or pull out papers, however it works here in Brookfield,
Okay, great.
so.
And then Doug Ford is stepping down as a member of the Council on the Aging.
Doug Ford.
Okay, so and then Merrick Public Library will be closed for building repairs beginning Friday, the 16th of December for approximately 6 to 8 weeks. And we will not be able to provide library services at that time. Library materials may continue to be returned at the outdoor book drop, but patrons will not have access to the library building to browse or check out materials. Your library card can be used at most libraries in central and western Massachusetts. If you've lost or misplaced your library card, stop by to get a replacement card before they close. You'll need to borrow materials at other libraries. You may also continue to borrow ebooks and audiobooks through the Libby app. So, now is that because of they had some water damage, is that?
Yeah, so interesting story. There was water damage because the roof leaked,
Right,
and the insurance company got involved. And the
Okay.
insurance company did the procurement, and the insurance company took care of all of the repairs, and they chose to repair the interior prior to repairing the roof. So, when the bad weather came, the event repeated itself. So we're back where we were in the beginning. But again, this is all on the insurance company and their management of the project.
so,
So it's the same
So there's no
event, it's
cost
the
to us,
same
it's
so there's no
claim.
cost to us except in the loss of services
Right.
for
Yeah, the
another
loss
8
of
weeks.
services to the residents is not, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
So,
allowed to speak on these meetings, questions?
if you're gonna address it through the chair, I'm gonna go ahead and say, go ahead and ask the
All right,
question.
thank you. How's that gonna work with the town employees, if they're not working, and they get paid, not get paid on unemployment in the library? Good question.
That's a good question that I do not have an answer
They
for.
do not get paid when they do not work. That is, whether or not they are going to file for unemployment, we won't know until they file for unemployment.
Okay.
There's also work at the commission there, the building next to it, that they have to do filing, things like that, so there's probably someone.
There may be. And most of the people only work like 2 or 3 hours a
Week, anyway, yeah.
Anyway, so I don't know that they would even qualify for unemployment. We do have one full-time employee. Can you hear me okay? Okay. And we do have one full-time employee, and I'm not sure how Brenda's going to keep her occupied, but no work, no pay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to a report on the warrant sign. We had for FY '23, number 12 AP warrant for $227,972.36, withholding warrant of $32,501.40, and a payroll warrant of $203,741.39. Any of that require any discussion?
No.
Okay, great. All right, so we've got item 1 from Attorney Mensing and David Fromm, a host community agreement.
They're not here. So I don't know if you want to pass over this and wait to see if they show up.
Yeah, we'll pass over it.
And I even told him that the meeting starts at 6.
Yep,
too.
I saw that email, I know that
Okay,
information.
so they at least got communicated about that.
Yeah.
All right. So FY '23 roadwork plan, so I did ask, and thank you for including this, I meant to ask you to include it in the package. Brian, thank you for coming. Come on up. And I asked you to come because I wanted to make sure that, like, we had the board aligned.
Yeah.
And we could actually give you, like, clear guidance and expectations regarding what we're looking for. So when I looked at this, first of all, I appreciate you putting the list together. Very useful, very helpful, at least giving, on at least some of these projects, at least a rough, like, you know, block of time or target area. But the place I'd like to get to with these, okay, and this is great because it gives us something to start the conversation with. Things like, for item 1, the overhaul project on Quabog Street to be completed this spring. One of the things I'd like us to get to the point of is saying, okay, estimated cost is $121,000. What's our funding vehicle? Is it gonna be split across road reconstruction and chapter 90? You know, get a sense for those things as part of this?
That project's actually a carryover from 2 seasons ago. We were
Okay.
waiting for National Grid to repair a pipe they destroyed.
Okay,
And because I didn't want to do the road and then cut it up.
Right.
And then have one little patch that
Yep.
isn't uniform, so
okay.
we waited.
Nope.
So that one's funded already is the point with chapter 90.
Okay, so if we were putting this together as a grid, and we said the start date would be, depending on weather, probably like April timeframe, right? If we're
Yeah.
saying spring
Yeah,
start,
It's on the schedule already.
right? How long are we expecting that type of project to take?
That's a day.
Oh, really?
It's a
Okay,
day.
so it's just a day?
It's just a day.
It's high cost because of the materials, or?
Yeah, it's the company that comes in and does it's a rubber chip seal.
Okay.
Very specialized, but it only takes them a day.
Okay, great. All right, so that's chapter 90.
So, just a question, trying to be quick.
Yep,
Does the chapter 90 money carry over year to year?
it does. You have,
Or
I think you
if
have
it's-
3 years to spend.
No, it's
isn't-
like
is it-
10 now.
Is it 10 now? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and even at the 10, I've heard, they don't just wipe it out. They'll say, hey,
They'll send you 18 notes saying,
Yeah, you
go
better
spend
use
your
this.
money.
Okay, so there is a time limit on it, but it's a 10-year, you have 10 years to spend it, not one.
yeah, they used
Okay,
to
thank
limit
you.
it more, but as,
Yeah, and even the most
time
limited
goes.
that I recall it ever being was on paper, it was 3, and they didn't send you notes until you were actually at 5. It's
Mm-hmm. Okay,
basically how it worked,
thank you.
I do believe that's actually changed now, that 3-year number.
yeah.
Pretty confident.
I think you're right, so. So that's earmarked out of chapter 90, though. I mean, the thing that I would say is a little imprecise in saying it's already funded is that you might have earmarked it out of chapter 90, but isn't it that we spend the money and then we're reimbursed from chapter 90, or is it something different than that now?
Yes. But in our bookkeeping, we have that money allocated already.
Okay,
It's like
all
it's gone.
All right, so in your calculations of funding other projects, it's gone.
Yeah, and the request is open, so the state's paperwork is done. It's ready to go.
Great, okay. Central Street, we understand the funding, I think we've got that covered from grant money, and then is it also chapter 90 that's covering the balance, or was it out of road reconstruction in your
It
expenses?
was
ARPA,
ARPA
okay,
grants, and I do have about 35,000 of chapter 90 available for the incidentals or if there's a little runover.
okay. And then the RAP funds, I had somebody question me as to what the RAP funds are, and I gave a high level, but let me make sure I got it right.
Winter Road Assistance Program,
Okay,
and that's not a thing they do every year. They did do it last year. I don't know about this year. We got 120. We used 20,000 of it to buy the used hot box.
okay,
There's 100,000 left. I believe it expires July 1st or June 30th.
Right.
So the problem with that is we got 100,000 and we gotta find a project that fits that or supplement it with other money.
okay. And I guess my question regarding that and the thing that I would ask in the future is that, so you say, hey, here's potential use of the funds. What's the criteria we want to use for making the decision about what's the best use? Because it says, you know, one option is preventive maintenance, crack and fog seal, one is this. Pros, cons, do you need a decision from us? that sort of thing?
No, it's just looking, it's just, those are the options, and I'm always open to input.
Okay.
But I would recommend preventative maintenance, and looking to the future, I would be cautious about spending down our chapter 90 every year, because eventually we're gonna need to do a major road rehab, and we're gonna need multiple years of money to do that, or grants, but we don't know about grant money. So there would be some years that we might take a rest and bank our money, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So he's kind of leading into a question that I had, and I don't even know if you have the bandwidth to do what I'm about to say, but I mean, do we have any assessment on the roads and what the timeline is? Is that documented somewhere?
We have a complete pavement management plan.
Yeah, that's
right
what I was
now.
wondering about.
It's an online database.
Okay.
It has every single road.
Didn't we send that link
We've got
out
the
to
link out.
everybody?
I
I
think
sent
it
you
was
that
in
link.
your email.
Everybody can have access to it to look at it. It's
But it was from a
literally, you
while
can
back.
click a road, it gives you a snapshot of what the company that did the survey, what their recommendation for repair would be. It gives us a pavement condition rating, PCR, and over time, it can be updated. I was planning every 3 years we update it. And that can show us if we're going in the right direction as far as pavement condition or the wrong direction. And I mean, it has so much data in there. There's, I think it says if we had $5 million today to spend on road work, we could have like 100% road pavement condition rating. Like that's what it costs to fix the whole town in one shot.
What is that number?
5 million plus, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Who needs schools?
I think I got it from March.
No,
There's
it's
an-
actually November 30th, and I'm looking at, it's printed out, the link is printed out in your paperwork.
Yeah.
It's the first
It's
page,
the first page of this.
yeah.
Oh, that link there
Yeah,
is the one
that's
that
the
does
link.
that? Okay.
And I'm looking at this, and I don't see either you or Tom included in this
Oh, yeah, I got
it. Oh, yeah, you
email,
were.
so you probably didn't get
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So just so you know, we paid about $15,000 to get that software and the survey done and to get it to where it is today. It's about $3,000 once every 3 years to keep it up to date from now on, which I think it's really useful. It
It's a
helps
really
me.
neat little
It's
map. Did you
really
look
good.
at it?
Yeah,
We
I
can
looked at
add-
it some.
we
I
can
didn't
add
really
onto
dig
it
into
with
it as
other
deep
stuff
as I
like
meant to,
snowplow
but.
routes and whatever, there's a lot we can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. For the Rice Corner road work, is that, when you say rehab, would that address is that by 118 Rice Corner Road where we've had the drainage issues? At the
No,
top of the hill
no.
from Gay Road, or is that a different location?
that's a different location. That's
Okay.
the hill closer to town, the first big hill heading up towards
Near-
where the trailer park is.
All right, a wagon wheel.
Yes, wagon wheel.
Okay.
And is-
That would be a section of that.
As I say, yeah, I ride my bike there at times and it's a little rough.
It's getting bad. yeah.
And
Okay,
where
thank you.
is Gay
So they
Road?
probably do have it.
I mean, I know where it is, but where is it in the schedule?
Um,
I noticed the other day it was right
That's an
there.
expensive one.
Yeah.
That's one of the ones.
I feel like it almost needs to just be repaved.
Well, we did look into grant funding on that one, and it was
Yeah.
gonna be like $1 million to do that road,
Yeah,
because there's a lot of drainage that has to be done.
Yeah, wasn't it 2 years ago we applied and
Yeah,
got
we
rejected?
didn't get it.
We should just need to keep applying year
Yeah.
after
and
year.
is that
Eventually it'll get
our grant
awarded.
writer Kathy, Baraka?
That's
She
who
does
should be
that?
doing that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I think that
And
both
the-
water and highway have used the engineers that they're working with to apply for the
Yeah,
grants.
and in the past, we've done it in-house in the highway department, but I got no problem working with Kathy on it.
Oh, no, I'm
Absolutely.
just wondering.
Yeah, I'd have her take another swing at the Gay Road one, because I know that you guys still have a pretty good, you had a pretty good package put together. I was
Yeah,
surprised it
it
didn't
just
fly.
didn't fit the criteria right for what was out there, and I
Yeah.
don't think it's changed yet.
Okay.
And I forget what that exact criteria was, but it was,
I think you had to prove it was like a major commuter
That's
thoroughfare.
right, yeah.
And the odd part about it is, it actually is.
It
But
is.
But trying to get somebody to believe it looking at that road is relatively difficult.
it
so.
is, and I think that's why it got denied.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
You asked where that is on the schedule, well, that's another thing, the pavement management plan, it
Oh,
kind of
nice.
prioritizes what should be done first and last, so.
Yeah, I was wondering if we had something like that.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
And we are gonna, I'm gonna try to follow that, but there is gonna be.
right,
a
things
little-
coming,
yeah.
right.
Now, the Green Street project, that's a CMRPC
Yeah.
funded, and that's the type of grants that before, like when you were talking to Kelly
Yeah,
prior to
they
the
said there's a
meeting.
ton of infrastructure money available for towns.
Yeah, so we may wanna actually see if rather than going through the engineering for Gay Road, see if, we have a CBDG advisory committee,
Yeah.
which are the ones that typically go after the grants that CMRPC is talking about for infrastructure. We may wanna see if it hits the criteria with them, because that's what got us the Green Street project.
Well, we were looking at Kimball Street for the next CDBG one.
Oh, because it's the center of town.
I
Yeah.
kinda wanted to just finish that
Area?
area to be done.
Okay.
Rice Corner Road, I started looking into this and I'm gonna look into it more. It's a long process, but Rice Corner Road actually qualifies for the TIP program.
Okay,
That's the kind of grant that I think the numbers are huge. You can get a lot of money and they take about 10 to 15 years to start till construction. It's a long process, but, and they're pretty competitive, I guess. But that is something that I want to look into in the near future, to start that process.
okay. Okay.
So how do you want your report to look going forward?
So going forward, I think the biggest piece that was missing out of this, I think, was funding source. And the piece that, a couple of different things. One, I'd like to see funding source when we have the numbers, right? Two, for items where there's like an either or, either understanding like the criteria or the order of merit between the projects.
Yeah,
And I think the third piece is that there was also kind of the major upcoming road rehabilitation. This is why I didn't even ping that this was just this year's plan, because to me, this was clearly like probably future year plan.
that's future. That
Right?
is future.
And so, like clearly delineating out, hey, near-term plan, this is the stuff that we're locked, cocked, funded, and here's the funding source.
Yep.
Right? And if there's any resource constraints, because, and you called it out kind of in the verbiage, but in terms of like what support, like the town is providing versus how much of it is contractor-based.
I did bring you something for tonight too.
Okay.
If you guys wanna look at it.
Yeah,
Here, take one and pass it down.
Right,
This
thank
This is exactly what I want to do this coming construction season. The first page is the plan I want to do. The
Okay.
second page is, it's like a cost comparison of what's more like a conventional practice.
okay, so like the pavement reclamation versus like,
No, it would be, so what I want to try is, and this is being recommended by a few different vendors and engineers, but you reclaim, then you pave 2 inches, and then you do the rubber chip seal over it.
okay,
And, so you're using less asphalt and getting the supposedly the same result, longevity and, surface.
okay, so,
There is one other thing I want to discuss too. The reason you see Old Rice Corner Crossroad on there
yep,
is because they're building a new house at the end. It's always been like a dead area, nothing
Yep.
down there. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with it. But they're putting a house right at the bottom of the hill. There's gonna be a huge drainage problem down there because the landscape from the construction, the construction of the new house is changing where water can go. They also built 2 houses below that, so there's nowhere to put water.
So where is this? So you get to the intersection on Rice Corner Road for Gay Road and like, I think it's Arnold Road.
No, Rice Corner and Rice Corner Crossroad.
Okay.
It goes down the hill to South Pond.
Yep.
This is old Rice Corner Crossroad. It's the little side street off to the left.
Oh, that hasn't, like, it hasn't even been
It's
used.
a 900-foot long road. It's small. They're putting a brand-new house at the bottom, and 2 houses below that on Rice Corner Crossroad just got built. It's all like the same valley, kind
Interesting.
of. Yeah.
It's changing the drainage through
It's-
that area of
it's-
the construction.
So the landowner on Old Rice Corner Crossroad asked me, is there any chance of paving this road? And I said, initially I said no. But then he's like, how are we gonna deal with the drainage down here? Where is the water gonna go? It's all gonna end up on my land. And I said, okay, yeah, you're right.
But,
So now is almost like a good time to do that road and then forget about it.
Is that considered a town road, that 900 feet? That's
Yeah.
not like a private road?
Not that I'm aware of, no. It's
So,
down.
right now, the water just drains down to the end of the road onto that land.
And it
The issue
will-
is someone's building property where the drainage goes now.
Yeah. And I'm up for discussion, is that our problem to change our road? I don't know if we're obligated, but it might be a good idea.
I don't think we're obligated,
No.
but I
No,
don't, I think,
we're not obligated. So the question is, this is one house on this street that chose to put their house in
Yeah.
a spot that would collect water, and then they want the town to fix that. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
That's right, yeah.
So if it's wonderful if you want to do that and we have the resources to do that, will that happen with every dirt road that has one house at the bottom that doesn't like the road? So that's something to think about when you're making your decision.
Yeah. I don't know if we really would have any other situation like this, but we could. Like I said, I'm open for discussion. It's a small road. It's too small of a road to do on its own. That's
and it's
why-
one thing if you already have to do
That's
something
why if
there.
I combine these, and we do the same process on both, it makes it one project that the contractor could come in and do.
Doing it by itself is cost prohibitive, just with the overhead of the project.
No, and the minimums that the
Yeah,
contractors
yeah.
require.
Tacking it onto a project makes it just the marginal cost of adding in this additional tonnage and square yardage.
I'm confused.
Are we allowed to split costs? Is there a way to split costs with the homeowner? I mean, some of the stuff we probably have to take care of, but I mean, not all of it, I would think.
yeah, and I understand why you're confused, because you're looking at Rice Corner Road, over Rice Corner Road, and Rice Corner Road doesn't appear anywhere on the project plan, and here, Old Rice Corner Road had an estimated cost of $45,000, and we've got $177,000 associated with it. So that's where some of this stuff gets kind of confusing,
Yeah,
right?
no, it's,
So, and what you're saying is that, is this 177 inclusive of the Quabog Street work? Is that why
No,
we're,
no.
okay,
no, the Quabog Street's not on here. This is just anticipated new work. The Quabog Street, I'm not considering new
no,
because that's,
yeah, I understand that, but in your notes on the old Rice Corner Road work, you had put an estimated cost of $45,000, right, to be done at the same time as the Quabog Street work,
yeah.
right?
And then
And then you added the regular Rice Corner Road work
onto it,
onto it,
yeah,
Mhm.
okay,
yeah.
got it. And where does the Rice Corner Road work appear from? It wasn't on the radar at all?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, last year I talked about it.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, he definitely
Okay,
did talk
all right.
about Rice Corner Road. We've been dealing with that crushed drainage for quite some time, and then we lost conservation, and they can't move forward without a conservation commission.
Right.
Well, and I think that's also right here, the 136. Because
Well, no.
that's Rice Corner Road and this
Oh,
is
no,
Old
that's,
Rice
I'm
Corner
thinking
Road.
of
You're thinking of-
Quabog,
you're-
I'm thinking of
there's-
Quabog. But he did talk about Rice
Yeah.
Corner Road, I'm thinking of a different
Yeah,
project.
the hill on Rice
Oh,
Corner, I
okay.
wanted to use and just do that with the wrap money. Because
Yeah.
it's falling apart, it's getting bad, and I'd rather stay ahead of it. And so then that's why this other issue came up, and I thought, well, if we're gonna do it, that's how it would work well.
Right, it's just do it all at once.
Yeah, and I mean, can we split costs with
Not if it's a town road, we can't ask them to pay
Yeah, not
for
if it's a
it
town
unless
road.
you have a way to create a betterment. If you do, then that betterment is gonna be divided by linear frontage among all the property owners on that. So betterments are very, very tricky, and I don't think you're allowed to have betterments here. I think you've got a bylaw saying some silly
We
such
don't,
thing.
we don't have a bylaw against it.
Okay,
We've
all right.
never actually put one into place for anything, but,
Okay. Yeah, if you were gonna do that, you'd have to have a betterment structure involved in that project.
For Old Rice Corner Crossroad, it's like, the work there, we're talking paving, but it seems like the problem's drainage, and so does
We're
it
gonna
have to
do
be
some
paved?
drainage. We're going to do some drainage at the bottom.
Okay, so it's sort of like we're doing drainage and we're gonna do paving too while we're there, is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, well, only 3/4 of the road's paved currently.
Okay,
The remaining 25 feet, or percent is not paved, and that's where this house is being built.
mm-hmm,
And to be honest with you, this would help. We turn around down there when we plow it. I mean, it's awful.
Oh, yeah, you
Right.
wouldn't have to turn
okay, so
around and
there's,
just do
there's
a
at
loop.
least some benefit
Oh,
to the
yeah,
Yes.
town.
there is a benefit to the town in that sense, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so,
So, I mean, that's, it. Like I said, it's up for discussion.
and that would be funded from what, chapter 90?
Yeah,
And you're looking at doing the rubber chip seal. I mean, if we're doing that, I understand that the vendors are telling us it's better. Is there any type of studies or any type of third-party independent information
Who aren't selling
available?
something?
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Thank
I
you.
mean, the people that do our pavement management plan, they don't sell it. They just do the plans and they're engineers, so I could definitely get their opinion.
Let's do that.
Okay, yeah, that's no problem.
Let's do that. Because just, you know, if it's gonna be 10 years less durable, then saving 40 grand up front might not help us,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. No, I agree.
So, cool. And then, yeah, but mostly from a plan perspective, the things I'd wanna see is, where's the funding coming from? What's the timing, start, finish? Thought I had written that down, sorry. For the ones that are follow-on year, at least what's the target and what's the obstacle? Like, do we need grant money if we're even trying to consider it? That sort of thing, okay? Something that lets us know what the next action is, and if there's any obstacles or help required in order to get us there.
Okay.
Does that help? Thank you for coming, though, and thanks for
All right.
having the conversation.
Yeah.
Just a quick question for Elise.
Through me, sure.
So I know that the race corner road project, the corner is not included on that sheet. So I know you mentioned the 10 to 15 year grant. Our concern is that the road is caving in at this point, and even the patch that's been put in there is continuing to sink. Every time you hit it, it seems like it's just getting worse, and we're just really concerned about the road really caving in. So I don't imagine it lasting 10 to 15 years. So
Right.
I'm just not sure what the priority would be on that, or where it would be planned.
If we have the road fall apart, we could repair a section easily.
Would it just be pulling back and repaving over it? That's obviously gonna just.
Or, yeah, and probably fix, if there is an underlying issue, fix that.
Okay, so the plan right now is just the tip grant in 10 to 15 years?
Yeah, that's what I would be targeting, because it's gonna be a big project, you know. I mean, not saying we won't do stuff in the meantime, you know.
To keep it safe.
To keep it safe, yeah.
and we need that big project to address the drainage issue in that section of the road? By 118 and at the top of the hill, after Gay Road splits off, you get to the top of the hill and the
Yeah.
houses start up again?
Yeah, I'm sure that would be part of it, yeah.
Right. But it just seems to me, it's like my understanding is the drainage issue in that section is causing the problem. And so, it's like, do we have an option to address the drainage issue and then say, which would hopefully then stop the accelerated deterioration of the roadway
Yeah.
and buy us time?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but that's a tricky area. None of the options are cheap there,
Okay.
unfortunately. That's the best answer I can give you.
I figured if it was easy, it would already be done by now.
That's correct, yeah.
So, it's like, just trying to understand, it's like, and I'm a computer guy,
Yeah,
not a construction guy.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ryan.
All right.
Thank you. All right, next topic. Appoint interim cable coordinator Jacob Gorham.
Yes,
Oh, well, that's lovely.
it is. It's even more lovely that he's actually willing to take it for the pay that we voted.
Really?
And not
Yes.
his normal hourly rate.
Wow. How did that happen?
He's just really, really nice, honest to God. That's how that happened. He's just a good kid.
Is this working with the Cable Access Committee and doing all
There
the
is no
video?
cable access committee.
I'm sorry.
But yes,
But
he would be,
that
he would be taking over the videography, editing, uploading,
Okay, yep, okay, that's the position I thought it was, but I just
and
wanted to.
or greatly assisting depending on if, Sharon stays.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so then we'll move on to budget process while you're putting appointment slips in. And then,
Mr. Mincing and Mr. Fromm have both arrived.
Oh, they have,
So
haven't
I don't
they?
know if you want to do the budget or do you want to do, while Tom is still here?
I was
because
gonna say,
he has
I've
to
got-
leave in
Let's-
20
let's
minutes.
do-
I have,
do you want to do Mr. Fromm while you're still here? It's your call.
let's see, yeah, my thought is, we have Jeff here, and so Jeff, I wanted to hear the schedule. If Jeff, on behalf of the advisory committee, has any concerns, I think he can speak up.
Okay.
Here's
So
the
you-
schedule.
So,
All right, so budget.
Well, it's not the schedule, it's a tentative schedule.
Here's a tentative budget schedule, budget requests by the end of December, return by the end of January, compile by the second week of February, open the warrant in February, send the budget to the select board, as it gets combined, or
Well,
as it's finished combining.
So as soon as I get everything, I'm gonna send it to you, depending on how long it takes people to get it to me. I've already got several of them back, but I don't
Okay.
anticipate I'll have them all.
Right,
So as soon as it's combined, I'm gonna email it to the board, so that you'll have it in time to think about it and review it, and then at your selectmen's meeting, you'll be able, I can't guarantee that I'll have it completely combined by the first week of February, because you meet the first week of February
okay,
on
but by
Thursday.
probably the third week, we would have it. And
Yeah, oh
then-
yeah, you'll
and then by
definitely
the-
should have it by then.
And then by the end of March, getting it to the advisory committee. And then close the warrant, April 24th, which is when typically our second meeting of the month would be. So that would give, that really only gives them, 21 days?
Oh, no, absolutely not. The warrant are for articles. This is the, this
for
is the whole
articles.
thing, for
Got
the
it.
warrant and the budget.
Okay, oh, it's warrant and the budget, got
Yes.
it.
The, they have until the day of the meeting, if they need
Fundamentally,
it,
if they so choose.
to
Right,
present their, to
Okay.
decide what they're going to
okay.
do.
And then,
So,
right, warrant sent to town council May 3rd. Receive the reviewed warrant by the 15th. Post the annual town meeting and we're aiming for June 1st for the,
Well, these, I just threw these things in here, and you guys can discuss and decide what you want to change. You'll see there's a change column on the end. So if you want to change the dates of something and it's feasible to do so, then
we can do that.
we can shift it.
So what are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
I'm still a little bit confused because we're changing the process
Yeah,
around.
Jeff, can you come sit up here, and so that the people at home can hear you, your smooth dulcet tones? And
Do we have a chair up there?
that's what we got handed to us.
I can make you a copy if you want it.
Yeah.
It's not set, that's why I didn't
Yeah.
make any extra copies.
I don't need a copy.
Yeah, no, my only question would be that we're normally, as a advisory committee, prior, we were involved at the end of December, beginning of January, and all of that, so, I'm just trying to make sure where we're fitting into this now, making sure we're in alignment with you and the selectmen and everyone. Because we're still piecing together our people and our transition from Tom with his computer skills. So I don't wanna get stuck at the last minute, having everything come in without having enough time to, at least, even though we're less of a workload, but I still wanna have time to, for us to look at it and ask the questions or whatever, meet with the department heads if we need to. So I just wanna make sure we're in here. We talked before about having a meeting, I don't know if it was, officially or unofficially, to make sure we understood what the process is and how,
Yeah.
you know, getting some guidance as far as where we should go with it, so.
Yeah, and I think that's the intent here, is this is like a preliminary pass at what the schedule
Yeah.
would look like, when the stuff would get in front of you. Gives you some time to get resituated with the reorganization on the advisory committee. Where you'd be looking at getting a product that was already at least aggregated, rather than having to put it together yourself from the budget sheets, which I think is a win workload-wise for the volunteers.
Right, agreed. I'm just saying is that when you're saying the end of March, I mean, before we even see it, is that what you're indicating?
Well, that would be like the drop dead, not gonna go past date, but as soon as the selectmen have determined that this is the budget, the way they like it, then you'll get it immediately. But I don't wanna see it go past the end of March. I'm hoping it'll be to you by the end of February.
Yeah, the
But
goal would
that's a
be end of
drop dead,
February.
don't go past that
Right.
date.
Right, well, again, I'm just trying to figure out, because normally we would look at things in parallel, and so things have switched, so, I mean, I like to get the raw data as best as I can without
Do
making
we wanna
any
just
sort of
make sure they get
recommendations
courtesy
or anything
copies of the
else.
submissions, or?
At least be able to talk to the people if we have any questions.
Why don't we do this? Why
Yeah.
don't we, and Kelly's okay with it. Let's, when we get individual budgets in, we'll forward you the raw. It's up to you whether you wanna try to aggregate it on anything, cause we're gonna be aggregating it into a single file. So, but at least you could get the raw data as the departments submit it, if you want it.
That would be helpful, because I'm afraid that if we had all 12 or 18 at once, I mean, we're just.
Just understand, we may change them in the selectmen's
Of
office.
course, I mean,
We may cut them or
that's how
put them up or what
That's
have
how
you.
it's been going on, yeah.
Right,
The
Yeah.
departments have always been willing to change things as we go along, so.
yeah.
But, yeah, and I think as long as if we make a change to what the department requested in what
Excuse me. We won't be making any changes to what the department requested. We can say, yes, no, this is what we're going to do, but we're not gonna change what the department has requested.
allow me to rephrase, if we can we would recommend a different number?
That's fine, yeah,
That's,
let's go for that. That's
that
perfect.
is the right way to
That's
phrase it.
perfect.
Okay, okay, thank you, Kelly. And it's like, but it's like, yeah, so as long as the divergence of our recommendation from the request is, promptly communicated to the advisory committee, and,
Right.
and clearly, it's like, then they could then come back and reopen their consideration of that department's budget and consider their recommendation based on what we have decided to
So
recommend.
what will be presented at the town meeting is the budget with the selectmen's recommendations. And the finance, the advisory, everybody's got a different name in each town. The advisory committee's recommendations. Or yes or no's, whatever they wanna put on the budget.
Yes.
The town will be voting not on what the departments recommended. So,
The motion will be based on the advisory committee's recommendation
no,
or
it'll
the
be
select
based on
board's?
the select board's recommendation.
Okay.
because it's their warrant, it's their budget,
Mm-hmm.
and you could say, yes, no, we prefer this number,
Mm-hmm.
and that, all of that'll be transparent and part of, what's at the meeting, but,
Right.
Yep, and,
Right, so my concern, as always, is that the advisory committee, we get a look at the raw data early enough so that we do have some sort of things that maybe we'll have a divergence of opinion, we can talk with everyone, at least to express ourselves before we get any further.
so I would send
I
that
just don't wanna
directly.
have a situation like we had last year where we got off track as far as the recommendation or the personnel increases. That was bad for,
So
so.
I will forward what I get to you as I get it, is that what we're saying here?
Yeah,
Okay,
please.
and then you can disseminate it to your committee.
Kelly, a request, if you're going to make any structural changes to the budget, for example, like last year when you created a technology line and you discussed you considered centralizing the utilities, specifically the heating bills. If you could communicate that to the,
I'm communicating it right now. The technology budget I would like to present as a single line item, not split into 3 different line items like it was last year. Because now we're getting invoices that have to be split between 3 different articles, which takes a ridiculous amount of time on the accountant's part. This is,
Yep.
all of the breakdown will be there for people to see, but the budget itself will be voted as
One thing.
different than what the data is next to it. The totals will be there.
but, yeah, and any other restructures.
I keep looking over my shoulder to make sure it's.
Oh, he's fine. He's a puppy, unfortunately.
He's vocal, he's talking.
He's, yeah, he's like, he's having the most fun in the room. You need to go, or else more important things in this
Yes,
board
we
meeting
have
is
hit
gonna
quarter
go.
of, yes, so, thank you.
So I'm kicking you out, I'm kicking you out of my meeting there, good sir.
Okay, we good? Or will that
I think
go
we're
in?
good.
Okay.
Did you wanna change any of these dates? Do you wanna leave them the
I
way
think,
they are?
I think we're gonna let this roll the way it is, and see
Okay.
how well we manage to adhere to it.
All right, so what I would like you to do.
Would you like a motion?
At the next, is to accept this subject to change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion to accept the plan subject to change as needed or
Needed.
required?
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the budget schedule as is, and we can change it if needed.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Beautiful.
All right, so, let's see here. I guess we'll be polite, and since we are now thoroughly outnumbered, let's move back to agenda item number 1 with Attorney Mensing and David Fromm with the host community agreement.
I don't wanna be a pain in the butt.
Okay,
However, I'm going to be a pain in the butt.
go ahead.
This gentleman here is here for his appointment to, possibly to the Conservation Commission, because
Who is? Oh,
this is Mr. Kelleher, is that correct?
okay.
Christopher Kelleher, he reached out and asked to be appointed, and when I sent the information over to Karen, she said
We
to
already had
me,
a slate of
Beth
5.
just gave me 5 people, and I
Oh,
said, all right,
dear.
well, I'm gonna tell you because he asked, so here he is.
Wow. So did we get a chance to reach out? I know the other 2 people said they were willing to stay, but I know one of them is only a part-time
Well,
town
yes, I was
resident.
thinking Kathleen was kind of on the fence about it, and I reached out to her, I guess, sent her 2 or 3 emails, she didn't respond, and I didn't have her phone number to call her. But she was the chair, she stepped down as the chair and said she would stay on the committee. So, she didn't answer me, she's still on the committee. You
Okay.
have, 5 openings now and 6 candidates, so. I wrote appointment slips up for all of them, you can pick and
Okay.
choose who you want.
So, okay. Wow. That kind of puts us in a pickle.
It's never happened before.
Feast or famine, that's how it works.
Telling ya.
I had reached out to Mr. Kelleher and asked him if there was any other committee or board that looked interesting. We just had a resignation from the Board of Health,
I was about to say, is he interested in Board of Health?
and that's a,
Because that's a critical role,
it is a very
and I really
critical-
don't want it vacant.
A 2-member board can be an issue, and
Yeah,
there's
can
nobody
be.
to break the tie.
Would you be interested in Board of Health?
I'm gonna go write a new slip right now before we change.
I'm sorry, we're not gonna let you change your mind, we're gonna print this thing out right now. So what, if you don't mind me asking, what drove your interest? Just to get involved in the town stuff, or?
I do a lot of volunteer work. I used to be a volunteer firefighter, a volunteer at the American Red Cross. I've started 3 public charities. The one I'm most proud of is called Seaside Animal Rescue.
Okay.
22 years, it's own business. They just started building downtown in Tasca Beach. I've done a lot of civic work in the towns that I lived in. So I was part of nature, I guess. My grandfather was a mayor of Camden, New Jersey.
Nice.
I'm a notary public, I'm a pastor. I see life like a buffet table. I want to try a little bit of everything.
Try a little bit of everything,
Yeah,
fair enough.
I don't want to say same meal every day.
Yeah, and I know we just
So-
kind of railroaded you and said, hey, Board of Health, but do you
That's okay,
do you
I-
understand their role in the community and what role they play, pretty much? Yes,
Well, I was
no?
reading the CMR on the Conservation Committee, so that was 217 pages of one reading. But I mean, I can apply myself
Okay.
without question.
So this would be a temporary appointment because it's an elected position. It would be until the following election.
Okay,
So you would be appointed to the Board of Health starting January 1st because George's resignation takes effect December 31st. Until the following election, at which time, if you want to run, you can pull papers, right? You got to pull papers here? Is that
Yes.
how it works?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, in fact, the
Doesn't work the same
papers
in
will
every
come out
town.
in February, actually, so you'd be
Okay,
on
so
the board
you'd
for
be-
like January and
So it's like you
February
can
pull
taste it and
papers.
test it, and if you like it, you can run.
Yeah, so, no, that'd be cool. So, and that's just honestly probably I'd say Board of Health and, I mean, they're one of the ones that just keep the town running, so.
Make sure it's for the right amount of time.
Through the 30th of next year.
That is
Not
not
right.
right.
So what do you want it until?
That's okay, we can, that's
It
what
goes
single
until the
lines
next
and
election.
initials, so.
Because it's an elected.
What's the,
position.
what's the?
Date of the next election?
No, but it goes,
No,
you
but
can
that's,
put to the
that's
next
what calendar,
election.
that's what
Do you,
calendars
do you
are
want me to just go change it so you don't have to cross it off? It'll only take a minute.
It'll only take a minute to go like this.
Okay.
And
Okay.
do.
for.
And
It'll
initial
take
it
less
when
than
you
a
do it.
minute
Yeah.
to sign,
And you
to
don't have
scratch
to
down
run.
an initial. Is it May 1st? Okay.
Really? You guys are having an election on May 1st?
Well, at least it's not April 1st.
I was just gonna say.
so what happens if there is a position on the conservation committee? You can't get hold of that person.
You can be appointed to,
As long
you can be elected to as many positions as you want. You can be appointed, depending on the town's preference, to a certain number of appointed positions. However, you can take pay for only one if there's pay involved in any. You can take pay for only one.
Yeah, so Board of Health is a nominally paid position, Conservation Committee is not, so they wouldn't
Right.
be mutually exclusive from
Correct.
that perspective.
Could be on both. I don't know if they actually speak or cross over. So depending on the size of the committees, I think with 5 on the Conservation Commission,
Yeah, I
that
don't
should be
think
a
it's an issue,
non-issue.
yeah, it should be a non-issue, because they can,
But the fact that he read the CMRs, could we just bump somebody else to Board of Health and throw him on Concom? I don't mean like physically throw, but you took a lot of effort if
yeah,
you
that's
read
true.
that much of the CMR.
That's a thought. Oh, boy, heck. Let's do this.
And honestly, appointing someone to Board of Health is not on the agenda tonight, and technically, under the open meeting law, you shouldn't
Oh, we
appoint him
really
to
probably
that
shouldn't.
tonight.
Yeah,
You can
that's
appoint him to
true.
Conservation, but you should not appoint him to Board of Health unless it's duly
Keep trying to keep
posted.
us, on the straight and narrow, Kelly, I don't know.
It's my job to protect you, even if it's from yourself.
That is true. So let's see here. Can we just, I tell you what, because we had already established that if we needed to vote something that's typically Conservation Commission, that we could do it as the Board of Selectmen until we've appointed a Concom. Because we did that for
Well,
one
you
of our
have
activities.
members of Conservation that said yes.
That's
So
true.
there's no reason why you can't appoint them, then they will have a quorum,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so
Um,
let's do that.
Who were the other ones that didn't respond to you?
Teresa Silvestri, she's still on.
She's on, right?
And then Kathleen Winward.
Oh, so you just reached out to the 2 that were on?
Yes.
Okay.
These, because like I said, I
These
got
people are
information.
definitely
I
confirmed that
couldn't
These
they'll.
get
people are
hold of
definitely
them, so
confirmed.
I had the note you gave me, that's what I went by.
Yeah.
Email and the
Okay.
number.
Yeah.
Neither was answered, so.
Yeah. Well, I know that they're legitimate people, because I know they've been spoken to. I just need to get contact information on all the individuals for them. Because when I asked, Scully just gave me their contact information, and they'd round up the rest of them. But apparently Karen didn't have any luck contacting them, so.
Excuse me one second.
Yeah,
Just, when I first joined the advisory committee, there were 9 people, there was 1 spot open and 3 people applied for it, so the committee itself took a vote after we attended the meeting, gave our
Right.
resumes and all that, so I mean, that is a possibility also, I guess.
Well,
Except there's no committee to
there's
do
no
that.
committee to do that. There's only 2 people left on a 7-person committee right
But
now.
I'm sure already had a couple people that had already.
No, so.
Right,
I
there
think-
are 2
Yeah.
current members who are completely inactive.
Right.
Oh,
So let's do this.
all right.
It's okay, it was a good idea.
And Mr. Kelleher, I suspect that we're gonna wind up going down the road of one of two things. Either, I don't think that both of the people that are currently still on Conservation Committee are going to still, participate, because they were pretty crispy and burnt out. And one of them is only part-time in the state, so, but I don't wanna disrespect them either. I don't wanna, I'm assuming that's the way it's gonna go, I don't wanna disrespect them, and like Kelly said, we're in a pickle, cause we didn't put Board of Health on the agenda.
Right, well, we
Um,
didn't know we'd have
'cause we didn't
somebody
know
who
we'd
would
have
say
somebody
yes,
on.
or would have put it on the agenda.
So, if you don't mind, well, that's a verbal tick more than anything else. I think the course of action that I would recommend is let's appoint the 5 that we had on the calendar to appoint. Just because unfortunately, they come almost as a package deal based
Yeah.
on how we rounded them up, okay? Let's reach out to the 2 remaining members, confirm, do you really want to do it, or would you be just as happy if someone else stepped forward and took care of it for you?
Okay,
Right?
Which yes, I do have 3 emails into Kathleen.
Right. And if they don't
But, yeah.
answer, then I'd be inclined at the next meeting to just rescind
All right.
whoever's not answering
All right.
and appoint you, sir, okay? I just want to go through a little bit of due diligence, because they actually stepped up during a period of time when we really needed people to step up previously for CONCON, because we had a defunct, we were in the same position, basically. We had, the whole committee was gone, basically. If you are interested, if you want to take a look at and contact the clerk and the chair for the Board of Health and make sure it's something that
they
you'd be
don't
interested in.
have a chair, they had
They
their
do.
last meeting and George is
Maureen
done.
Leapak.
No,
She's not the chair, George was the
George is-
chair.
I thought in his letter, he said that she was the chair. Is she the vice chair?
I think she agreed to kind of like
Act
be
as chair?
be the contact person.
Okay,
But that
because in
doesn't-
his letter, he indicated, I assume they
Letters
reorganized
right
at their last meeting. That was my assumption, because in his letter, it indicated, or maybe it was the Facebook post he put out, he said that she was gonna be the chair. So I assumed that they reorganized when he had their last meeting.
I don't think so.
So let's check with him.
I just met yesterday before our meeting. Maureen was a blonde-haired woman, blue jacket.
I have no idea, I've never seen her.
She's blonde, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't
She
say in
sounded
his
as if she was
letter.
in charge when I was talking to her, because she wanted to add more things to the budget. I said, we'll talk to Kelly. So,
Yeah, so my understanding, because he had posted something on Facebook telling people that he needed somebody to take over.
Yeah.
Or somebody to join or volunteer to become on the Board of Health.
Yeah.
And he indicated she was the chair, so I assumed they did a reorg. at the
Yeah,
last
no, I
meeting.
talked to her today and she said that they agreed that she would be the person people could reach out to. So she called and asked for an email and I said, no.
Okay,
Sorry. There's no money in the budget for an extra email. So, anyway, I explained to her how she could get an email so she didn't have to use her private
Okay.
email. And so I don't think she's officially the chair. I think that what happened was that she agreed to be the point person until
Okay.
they get a new member.
okay,
They don't meet again until January.
got it,
So,
okay. But can we give him her contact information so that,
no, she does not want her contact information given out, so no. But I can give her his
His.
and
Let's
ask
do
her
that.
to reach out to
to
him.
him? Perfect,
So,
that'll work.
Okay.
Whatever we can make work.
okay.
I'm flexible, so.
You can give out my contact information.
You're gonna regret that. Okay.
With your permission, Mr. Kelleher, appreciate it. So, okay, so can I get a motion to appoint, Michael Metz, Megan Metz, Scott Chiquette, Carrie Chiquette, and David Pratt to Conservation Committee?
I make a motion to appoint Michael Metz, Megan Metz, Scott Choquette, Carrie Choquette, and David Pratt to the Conservation Commission.
Okay, I'll second that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You get to sign all of those, and then we need another, I'll make the motion to assign, to appoint Jacob Gorham as interim cable coordinator.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And trust me, you will hear from us.
Sure.
Because we need all the help we can get at this point.
Actually, I'm going on vacation, so if you could email Karen, she can make sure that Maureen gets your information, and then we'll ask her to reach out. So next week.
Where did we actually land?
We landed with, right now we're appointing the 5 folks that we had previously like identified as a bucket to Concom. We're going to reach out to the 2 remaining members of Concom, some of which have been incommunicado the last 3 times that we tried to get in contact with them. If we get no reply by the next meeting.
Which is 2 weeks from now?
When's the next one?
The next one is in,
Is the first
it's
week in
in
January.
January, yeah, January 7th, right?
I don't have a calendar in front of me, but we have,
That sounds right.
January 5th. January 5th is the next select board
Right.
meeting.
So then we would be looking at if we don't hear back, if they're incommunicado, so obviously if we can't contact them,
Yeah.
they can't do anything, right? So we don't hear back from them by the 3rd, then we'll appoint you on the 5th to the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
Okay?
In the meantime,
In the
we'll give your
meantime.
contact information.
No,
I'm
we'll
sorry,
do
I
it.
just like to start, we're talking over you, I
Exactly.
apologize.
Nope, go right ahead.
In the meantime, we'll give your information to, is it Maureen? Maureen, and then ask her to reach out to you, and if you feel that Board of Health is a better fit, you know, talk to her, let us know, and we'll switch it up.
Sure.
So, is that
That's
clear?
it, I understand. Appreciate it.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, all right, so we're through appointments. Wow, the lights in here just really make these necessary. Okay, road work, coordinator.
All right, now if you want to bounce back to Mr.
All right, Mr.
Fromm.
Fromm
And Attorney Mincing.
and Attorney Mensing. Come on down.
You're gonna have to sit up here where the microphone is,
Microphone
please.
is.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Evening.
Apologies for my tardiness, and thank you for hearing us. I'm Attorney Blake Mensing. I'm here on behalf of Green Fusions Cannabis Company. We are proposing to establish a vertically integrated cannabis company with a cultivation, manufacturing, and retail. As you may have seen in the materials we sent over, what we're asking the board to consider is a host community agreement that essentially has a shelf life to identify a property. So we have a couple of properties that we've been in discussions with. We don't have any contracts signed yet, so we can't say this is the exact target. What I did in the town of Maynard for a client was propose a first in the state host community agreement that had, as I said, a window to identify a property. And what we explained, what I explained to the board of selectmen there was it's really an additional opportunity for the board to say no. And you might say, well, why would you want, as an applicant, a no? And the answer is a fast no is better than a slow maybe. So right now we're aware of the zoning. The available options are in the marijuana overlay district, so that's the focus of the search right now. And to be clear, the host community agreement is a state statutory requirement. It enables its holder to apply to the state. If you were to execute a host community agreement now that said you can look for a property and have 6 months to present something to us and say yes or no, we still couldn't hit submit on the state application because one of the first things they ask is where are you trying to put this?
Right.
So it's not giving us any sort of more of a head start. It just gives us some confidence that you see, hey, there's some utility in bringing this to town. Obviously I don't know this town like the back of my hand or anything, but the number of properties in the MOD are somewhat limited. There have been discussions, as I said, that haven't resulted in ink yet. That may actually help in negotiations with the landlords, where you can say, hi, we've got at least this stamp of approval from the town, and that way you're the true gatekeepers of who comes to town rather than the landlord within the MOD. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Happy to answer any specific questions, but that is the ask, and I guess the specific vote we seek tonight is, authorizations to enter into a negotiation on a host community agreement, where I'd work with town council, make sure that, if it was Nicole Costanzo, that she said, okay, I understand what you're saying with that contract. I'd be happy to share the version from Maynard. It wouldn't be the first time, so breaking some new ground, but not the first.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last bit?
Sure. I said I would just talk with Nicole Costanzo, and I'd be able to share the contract from the town of Maynard that did the same construct, where it's, you're in, but there's still the gap to fill in with the address. So at least you can see that, hey, we're not the first town to do that. That was something we did a couple of years ago, frankly, with the intent of it becoming, this great precedent. Not everyone has loved it. But again, the way I framed it, the way Maynard understood, was I said, look, I want you to have another chance to say no. So you don't, cede any powers that you'd have in any other board. If we present a property, even if it's in the overlay district, and you say, I don't like that for X, Y, or Z reason, then we'd say, okay, at least we know, and then we can focus on a property that meets the board's standards, whatever they may be.
This is the business plan, and what you're seeking is an approval to enter into negotiations
Correct.
For a host
relative to a
community.
host community agreement.
Yeah.
Correct. And one other point,
We cannot issue a host community agreement until we have a social equity policy in place. We have no procedure for this because this is a first off for us.
okay.
You need to determine a fee for this because town council charges a different rate for working on these projects. So typically, estimating the time that town council will take will be what your fee will be based on for your host community agreement process. And
So what's
then we look at negotiating contract.
Okay, so social equity policy, fee determination, and then we would consider entering into negotiations. So what's a reasonable timeline to inform these folks to revisit this topic with us?
So you don't meet again until January 5th.
I'm thinking March.
Well, I think you could do it before that. I think probably the first meeting in
February?
first meeting in February. We can have the possible social equity policy. It's so new. I mean, literally, it's like hours old, right? The new rules.
A month, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're like hours old. So if we had a host community agreement in place, we wouldn't need a social equity policy. But we
now
don't, so now we do.
Okay.
I don't know if there are any guidelines out for that yet. I don't know.
Okay.
So that's going to take a little bit of research.
Well,
Then
that's
you
why I
guys
was
need
thinking
to
March
vote.
1.
That you need to
Or-
vote to have your. You need to vote to adopt the policy. Then
Well, and that's why I'm,
set up
that's why I'm
the
thinking.
construct for
That's why
for
I'm
the
thinking,
process.
I mean, and I know that you said you don't want a maybe, but I think it's neither yes nor no nor maybe, but come see us in our first meeting
Sure.
in March, is what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
because this is the first, I haven't had it, I
Yeah.
mean, I kinda knew this was coming, so I actually have a lot of stuff in the pipeline that's in the development stages for this process.
Okay,
So it just needs to be fine tuned a little, which is why I'm saying you probably get it done in February.
right, well, I understand that, but I like to sandbag timelines, because I'm not Elon Musk, so. So Elon Musk is known for this quote that says my timelines are aspirational. So I've done enough of that in my life that I don't like the stress of it, so I prefer to sandbag the crap out of my timelines, so I'd prefer March.
So the first meeting in March?
Yeah,
And just to the extent that the board or Kelly is interested, I happen to find social equity incredibly important to this industry, so I'd be happy to weigh in. It wouldn't be, anything related to our particular application. I wouldn't charge my client for that if you do want my input. I've been a municipal attorney, I've been a social equity trainer for the Cannabis Control Commission, pretty decent writer, but yeah, just offering that in case it could help.
okay, great, and that's not a conflict of interest for you to help us out?
No, I mean, it's just a policy, and it's, could give it to you, and you can say, I hate this, and tear it up.
That's true.
It's not.
Right.
There is always that option.
Oh,
It's a-
trust
It's a
me.
specimen document.
Trust me, sir, I will be picking your brain.
I just wanted to establish
Yeah,
that,
no,
that we're kosher.
No,
It's just an
there should be no conflict for helping with verbiage and of course, it will go through all of the
And
other
actually,
channels.
All the hoops
a
and
former commissioner, she was the social equity seat, Shalene Title, has a think tank now, so I know she's doing some policy work. I'm one of the, I don't know what the title is, but I keep her money every month. So I can reach out to see if she might have a model social
Yeah.
equity policy floating around. I trust
Yeah.
her brain on that more than most, so.
Yeah,
yeah,
and like I said, I already have a procedure, and a fee schedule pretty much already worked out, because I figured this was gonna
Gonna
be.
come up.
Yeah, actually started working on it when I got the citizens petition for
Right.
the change in the MOD. I said, okay, so this is coming down the pipe, we better have this in place. So,
And one thing I would note, if a municipality hosts a company that's a retail company that has it's a social equity designation, there's actually sort of a tax carrot. You get a bite of the state's tax money for hosting such a business. So I don't know if there's, an applicant who's gonna come, out of the woodwork, but just so you're aware, it's not just you can feel good about doing the right thing, there's also dollars for doing the right thing.
Do we have any other potential applicants that we're
we
aware of?
have, no one has come forward to my knowledge, even inquiring about Brookfield's availability for licenses. We're gonna need to look at the actual licensing itself, because they wanna do 3 separate things, so we
I
need
noted that, I
to.
noted that, and when
We
you're
have
talking vertical.
very limited
When you're talking
licensing.
vertical integration, that's a,
And the language is ambiguous as to the licensing, so, when it comes to cultivation.
yeah,
So,
okay.
Yeah, I
Can I
mean,
ask a good question?
Sure,
Could
through
you
me.
kind of explain what this host community entails in brief, short?
So, a host community agreement is between the town, basically, through the selectmen, and the vendor, or retailer, manufacturer, cultivator, where they come to the town and say, we have a plan, this is our plan, and the selectmen go, okay, well, you meet all of the criteria of what we're required to look at, we like your plan, we're gonna say, yes, you can have one of the licenses, then they have to go through all the other steps. They have to go through planning, they have to go through the CCC, and it's just giving them permission to start the process.
And where would the location
Step one.
be?
In the MOD, right, it has to be in the MOD right now. There's no other place that we're aware of that they can, Actually-
Consider an application for.
right.
So currently, it's
There's no address on the MOD, it's just,
well, no, so,
Well, no.
so what he was indicating was, he was asking permission and whether we would consider reviewing a host community agreement that doesn't currently cite an address. It's not the usual and customary approach, but it's not an inappropriate approach, and it's the approach that was taken with the town of Maynard, which is a similar sized community to us, just in closer to Boston. So he was asking kind of a couple of different questions. One, would you consider a host community agreement, period? And 2, would you consider a host community agreement that doesn't currently explicitly have an address cited? Understanding that the only areas eligible for that host community agreement under our current zoning bylaws would be those areas that are contained within our current MOD. Did I get that right?
100% correct.
Okay, great. I'm glad that my listening comprehension's not totally shot. There we go.
now, Maynard is not the same size as Brookfield, it's larger.
Yes
Am I
and
right or
no.
am I wrong?
Yes and no. But budget-wise, it's one of the smallest budgets in close to Boston, because I know when I was doing some math comparisons for, when I was on the advisory board, their overall funding budget, and I think it's because they have a smaller bill for their school system because of, I don't know, something, maybe regionalization or something out that way. But their budget, they're like in I think the $12 million range or something ridiculously small for a community in by Boston. So.
Yeah, I understand it, but I'm trying to compare it to Brookfield.
It's actually, have you ever been to Maynard?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not that much
So
bigger.
the size and budget of Maynard is completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
What is,
that's what I was-
what is relevant,
I
what is,
understand that.
Yeah.
what is relevant is that
I understand.
what happened there was a case of first impression, if, for lack of a better term. And because it was successful, we have a model that has
Yeah.
potential for Brookfield. Not that we will use it, but
Yeah.
that we have
We have the
precedent and we have a model that we can look at, so
Yeah.
we can see how it's structured.
Yeah, so it's not the bulk of the models that has been used, right? Like I was saying, it's
Yeah.
not the
A
usual
lot of towns
customary.
require that you own property or you have permission from the owner of the property
Right.
in writing, and they have to provide that to show that we're not just holding a license here while they're spinning their wheels trying to get their act together,
Yeah.
which means this license not available to anybody else.
Right.
So one of the things that I would imagine it was done with Maynard is it's finite in time. If you don't have your ducks in a row in
By
a
X
spot,
date,
that's
you're
okay.
done.
By this date, this is gone, that license now available.
Yeah. And what was the timeline that they provided?
6 months.
6 months.
And just one additional point, as I mentioned, without an address in the HCA, you can't apply to the state.
Right.
The HCA is one side of the coin that allows you to apply. The other side of the coin is a community outreach meeting,
Mhm.
which requires a butters notification. So if you don't have an address to
You
measure
can't
that
do either
300
one
foot
of
radius,
those.
you can't
Right.
notify them.
Yeah.
So it's really just, again, a tool to be able to come to, a property owner, either to purchase or rent, and say, they'll say, well, it's just an idea. If I can say, we've got the blessing of the town to, basically get your foot just in the door, it helps that conversation. Some landowners just say, well, how do I know you can get this done? And they don't want to have contingencies on, basically governmental decisions that they don't have control over.
So one of the things that you could do, if you were interested in entertaining, is making a motion to enter into negotiations beginning in March for a host community agreement, the way that Attorney Mensing is stating. And if we have something in place prior, we can move it up. So if you have your, and that way they'll have their yes, they can go on with their negotiations, that this is, the negotiation part isn't the issue. The issue is us having our ducks in a row to do the host community agreement.
Right.
So if you were to vote to say yes or no, that you would begin negotiating a host community agreement by March, the first week of March, whatever that date is for your meeting.
I'm not opposed to it.
Well, I'm looking at you to say, do you want to make a motion to that?
Oh,
But I'm not insisting that you make a motion to that effect. I was looking at you with the inquiry of, well, if we,
Yeah,
do we
and-
have enough interest to make a motion and maybe discuss that, so.
yeah, I mean, the only thing like I'm concerned about is, what is the fee gonna be?
So what would happen is, depending on the licensing
And can we still
and
add
the
that?
nebulous word
Right.
of it, well, yes, because it would, once, so all
Contingent
you're
on us
doing right
figuring
now
out
is
the
saying,
rest of
Yeah, we'll
we'll
talk with you.
negotiate with
Yeah.
you after we get our,
Ducks in a row.
Right.
yes, thank you,
Yeah.
because I'm getting tired, so my brain is
Oh, I
starting
know
to stop
exactly.
censoring itself.
I knew exactly what phrase you were gonna use.
So when you get your ducks, so you're saying, yes, we will begin negotiations for this unique host community agreement no later, by March, the first week of March. But we'll move it up if we get our documentation in place prior.
All right.
And you only meet twice a month, so it's not like there's a lot of opportunity to bounce it back, but there could be, so. That leaves it open, that you're not
I mean,
locked
I
into that
think, I
date.
think it's plenty of time, and this is more of just, like, if we wanted to, I know we meet twice a month, but can we add a meeting if we
Well, you can
wanted
add
to
a
take
meeting
care of
anytime
something?
you want to.
Right,
Yep.
that's what I thought.
48 hours in advance, we can
Right.
add a meeting whenever we want
Right.
to.
So I'd make a motion to enter into negotiations with Green Fusion's cannabis
Point
company.
of order, don't you think you should have 3 selectmen before you make a hefty decision like that?
No, because doesn't matter if we have 3, unless either we're gonna have a hung vote, or we would've had a majority.
It's nice to have a full board, just my opinion.
It is your opinion, sir,
Okay,
so,
carry on, I'm just one.
yep. and at the end of the day, no agreement's gonna get made until we have many
Multiple
additional
meetings anyway.
All
This
this is doing is agreeing to.
Opening the door.
Is to start the
Right.
process, right? So, so I'm sorry, did you complete your motion?
So I make a motion to enter into negotiations with Green Fusion's Canvas Company
For a
come
host
Mar-
commu-
for a host community agreement come March 1st, or is that the date?
Or come our first meeting in March?
Yeah,
First meeting of March.
Okay, I'll second that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Marvelous, thank you. I'll reach out to whomever you'd like me to reach out to, Kelly, or Nicole, or- okay, great. Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
So. Okay, what else do we have? We got
approving minutes, minutes,
All right,
and more
can we
minutes.
speed date the rest of this? So, select board, can we get a motion to approve the select board minutes for 12/5, 12/1, and two sets for 12/1, and then the 11/17/22 executive session?
So I make a motion to approve the select board minutes for 12/5/17, 12/1/22, two sets, 11/17/22 executive session.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and acknowledge the receipt of the cultural council minutes from the 14th of November. Was there anything of interest in those minutes that are relative to, like, our 350th celebration or anything along those lines?
Well, I sent them to everybody, I don't know
The-
if anybody read them.
The-
Okay.
Since one of our selectmen is involved in the 350th, he would
Oh, he would know anyway.
know
then.
better
What's the
than
question?
us.
Was there any information, and were you guys talking anything about the 350th or no? Meeting, it doesn't look like there's anything in there.
Oh, I gave her a comment. That's right.
So we've got
You know what, they're not,
they're not dealing with it at all. It's just the
So-
committee.
I still have this, so it's good.
maybe they need to redo the way they're doing minutes, I don't know. So when they do their cultural council meeting, they then adjourn that meeting, and then it turns to like a 350th meeting with any questions and discussion.
Well,
They
they,
should give us minutes
I-
for the
yeah.
50th meeting. All right. Lovely.
they're not actually having a meeting once they adjourn. If they're discussing the 350th
They should,
activities and what they're gonna do with the money, then they're violating the open meeting law. So they shouldn't adjourn, they should change the subject within the cultural council and continue to take minutes. That is what they should be doing, because if they are discussing anything as a group with a quorum,
Mhm.
anything that they have control over, or that's within their purview,
So there's-
then they're
there's no
violating the
voting or
open-
anything,
It
it's more
doesn't
of like-
matter if they're
okay.
voting, it's discourse on something they have authority over.
okay.
So if there's a quorum there, then they're violating the open meeting law by closing their meeting and then discussing something off agenda.
So this is where it gets tricky, because some of the funds are that 350th group that
Well, that's a different group, so if they're holding a meeting, which they
that, and they
need,
weren't,
they need to, the same thing, if there's a quorum of that group,
yeah,
and they're discussing anything they have any control over,
yeah.
they need an agenda, they need to be posted 48 hours, they need to take minutes, they need to open and close, have motions, the whole 9 yards, and if they're not doing that, then they are also violating the open meeting law. And no spending of any funds
Can happen without.
can happen without
vote.
a meeting vote of either one of those committees. So, that's that story.
Okay. So can you help them understand?
I was hoping Kelly would, but I will.
I have tried on many occasions, and they do not seem to grasp my method of communication.
So we're gonna ask you to try again.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So we got the month-end report for November of 2022 from the Brookfield EMS, 53 calls, mostly medical, a few trauma. 16 folks said either cancel or refuse service, 18 mutual aid, and 5 ALS intercepts. And EMT Basic Terry Anderson, congratulations, 29 years. My goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
We also have the, kind of the weekly highway department report in here.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah, I
can
saw
give a
that.
copy of it, so. All right. So we've acknowledged all of those reports. Correspondence, we've got charter lineup is changing. EPIX is becoming MGM Plus. EPIX 2 is becoming MGM Hits. EPIX Hits is now MGM Marquee. And EPIX Drive-In will be MGM Drive-In on or about January 9th. And then they're discontinuing the Azteca America Network. All right. And then we have an executive session. So can I get a motion to adjourn the open meeting and to enter into executive session? And we will be adjourning directly out of executive session. And we're going into executive session under exemption 2 to conduct strategy negotiations in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel relative to shift changes for the police department.
Okay, so I make a motion to end the open meeting and enter executive session meeting under exemption number 2 to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel regarding shift changes for the police department.
I'll second that. Roll call vote.
Aye.
Nope,
Oh,
Brad Kadowski,
Brad
aye.
Kadelsky, aye.
Beth Coughlin, aye.
And not to reopen in executive, and not to reopen in open session.
Yeah, that will be adjourning directly. We'll be adjourning
Right, but
directly.
that
Oh,
wasn't
I
part of
didn't
his
say that.
motion.
Okay, so can I make an amendment to the motion
That will be adjourning.
that
at
will
the
be
end.
adjourning directly from executive session? And can you vote the amendment? Brad can do.
You just did, just second.
Brad Kadelsky, aye.
You
Yeah.
gotta second it.
Second.
Okay. So Beth Coughlin, aye.
Brad Kadelsky, aye.
Okay.
Thank you. We're out.
Executive session can be